Hello.
Hello. Hello, hello.
Welcome to my paranormal chat. I don't know what episode this is. I think 5 or 6. I don't keep track anymore.
I'm glad to be here, glad to be here.
Okay, so I have one question for you to start off. Do you believe in the paranormal?
Of course, yeah.
I have to ask everybody that, and one day somebody's gonna say no, and then that's just gonna be the end of the video.
Yeah. I had my first experience at the age of 12. So.
What was it?
My great grandma died, and a week later, she just came into bed clear as day, tucked me in, gave me a kiss on the forehead, and just disappeared.
That's like kind of what happened with my sister, like, except I was in like a dream, and she just like floated down to me and just like said everything was gonna be okay, and then hugged me, and then just floated back up, and I was like, oh. But that was like a year ago. That wasn't my first experience.
Yeah, like when a loved one passes, a lot of times they like to show themselves.
Mm-hmm. Like so like you know that they're safe.
Yeah.
Like my first experience, I guess it wasn't like an experience like I had. I mean, I guess I had it, but I was only like 3 months old. But we had just moved into our new house, and I was like, I don't know, like 8 months to a year old maybe, and me and my parents' room is like side by side, and so I was crying one night, and my mom got up to come and feed me, and she saw like a figure, like a white figure that looked just like her grandma, or her mom, my grandma, just like float into my room, like went straight through the door, and then I stopped crying. And my mom just kind of like stood there for a minute and then laid back down and went back to sleep. Like, she didn't even come check on me. She just went back to bed. She was like, oh, that's my mom. She's taking care of it.
Yeah, that parents like to look at you like, okay.
I don't care. What is your YouTube channel about?
Mainly I do paranormal, but I also do abandoned places and sometimes just random vlogs, and do a couple live streams. I do like urban legend live streams once a week. Me and my buddy, we switch from my channel to his channel for that. And I do cryptic Saturdays where I talk about different like cryptids like Bigfoot, Dogman, and a bunch of different ones of them. And on Fridays I try to do just crazy different live streams, just random topics, and sometimes they get real crazy and sometimes they're really boring. Also, we play Magic the Gathering. Like, we get on StreamYard and have like 3 of us battling against each other and trying to get some Dungeons and Dragons started. So it's just a bunch of different stuff, but mainly paranormal.
I didn't tell him, like last night he told me, he was like, do you guys play Magic? And he's been trying to teach me for like months now, and he did not tell me. When we were starting, he was like, oh, this is so easy for you to learn. But then a couple months in, he was like, yeah, this is the hardest card game to learn how to play. And I'm like, really? I'm an idiot. You tell me that now?
Oh, you learned just fine.
To me, it was a lot easier than trying to learn Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yeah.
That's a mess.
I forget who did it, but there was a survey done for all the different trading card games and tabletop games and all of that, and overall D&D was rated as the most complicated game to just in general to learn, and then Magic the Gathering got second place because of all the different, every card essentially having their own rule set and how they interact with each other.
Yeah, the new stuff that they coming out with is like,
yeah, I stopped paying attention to some of the new stuff when the vehicles started coming out. I like the old cards.
We got sidetracked a little bit. This is not a card game channel. It's paranormal.
I mean, it's got magic in the name.
What is your favorite urban legend? Because there are like so many urban legends that I like.
My favorite urban legend, probably the one about Bunny Man Bridge.
Yes, I love that one.
Fairfax, Virginia. We actually tried to go there Halloween night this year, and we get there, and there's 2 cop cars at the beginning of the bridge and 2 cop cars at the other side. So we go by, and I straight up was like, hey, just stop. I asked the cop, I was like, look, we drove 4 hours because we wanted to try the Bunny Man Bridge, and the cop just laughed at it. I was like, we're paranormal YouTubers, investigators, we want to explore. And he was just like, yeah, there's nothing to see here. So we had to leave, and but don't go there on Halloween night.
Yeah.
Bad idea, because apparently cops sit there because people like to spray paint on the bridge and do a bunch of other stuff. Ruin it for everybody else.
Do you remember that one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Didn't they make like a movie about it?
I don't remember when the movie came out, but there was a movie based on it.
Because that's what you found out, or knew.
Yeah, I ain't seen the movie. I would love to, though.
Because we did a video on it last year. Like, I started doing this series. I haven't done it for a while, but I would like read like 3 urban legends and then get his reaction. And he was like, I did the Bunny Man one thinking like he'd be like, ooh, spooky, but he was like, you know, they made a movie about that.
It's a good movie.
I was like, man, you gotta ruin it. I had a question and I just forgot. There goes my short attention span.
Okay.
I remember it now. So you've investigated like a lot of places, like explored. What is your like top 3 favorite places that you've ever gone?
Top 3. Probably number 1. Well, I'll say 3 would be Octagon Mansion in Withville, Virginia. It's this mansion that they recently just opened up, and it has like a bunch of Civil War items, and just it's extremely haunted. Like, we did a 3 a.m. investigation in one of the basements. It had 3 different basements, and we did in the 3rd most haunted basement, and my dowsing rods actually shocked me twice.
Holy hell.
But that place is definitely one of my favorites. The Satanic Ritual House, this house that my buddy took me about 3-4 years ago randomly, and we got rained out, so we only stayed for like 10 minutes, didn't really get to explore. So I went there last summer with a few people coming from North Carolina to collab with me. We went up there and like 4 o'clock in the afternoon and got so much activity. I got a figure of somebody in the closet with a white hat but no face.
Oh my god, I'd be terrified.
And my number 1 creepiest place is probably Road 666.
Yeah, you were telling me about that last night.
That place, I've been there a few times. The first time we went, we saw this house in the woods, and my buddy was like, no, don't. He started screaming at us, don't go in there. So we didn't go in, and about 5 minutes later, he just fell to his knees. Eyes, like, no pupil, it was completely white. And he just had this blank stare for like 10 minutes. And then one of the guys that came with us, he talked to him because he was an old pastor. And then about 20 minutes later, everything was good, and we continued walking. But we get to the second bridge, and dude gets sick, and then the other guy gets sick. And we did a dowsing board, spirit board session on the bridge, which is not a good idea. But, and we left the bridge, and halfway back, the pastor straight up left an awful loud scream. And the same thing happened to him. He fell to his knees, eyes were white, and then he started talking like a little child.
Oh no.
And his buddy, like, pretty much ran to the truck, and we legit had to carry this guy. And he wasn't a skinny guy, he was a kind of bigger guy, so we, like, 4 of us had to carry him until his buddy got there with the truck. And we fought like hell to get him in the truck before 3 a.m. because I felt something bad was about to happen. Something worse. Like, and then we went there on Halloween night after Bunny Man Bridge was a fail. And we had stuff thrown at us. We had a rock this big, like, go over my head. And I got shoved and I had 3 scratch marks on my knees, on my leg. Like, so that place is definitely active. And it's an active road, houses everywhere. But the one thing that gets me, every house on Halloween night had every single light on in their house. Every house we walked by. It was really weird. And it was like 3 o'clock in the morning too. So
is there like a backstory to that house? Like, did like something happen, like make it that way, or you just don't know?
The thing is, that one house that we saw the first night that Buddy told us not to go in there, on the way back from walking the road, we started like 2:30 in the morning, and we started walking back about 6:30, because it's a pretty long road, and we just walked the whole thing, and it was kind of daylight. There was no sign of that house, no sign of like where that house was, but we all saw that house that night. It was like the weirdest thing. Like, that place has a lot of, I've never been there during the day. I've only been there at night. But yeah, and people died on that road, got in car accidents. There used to be, back in early 90s or late 80s, there was a couple satanic rituals that happened there. And it's just an active road.
That sounds like crazy.
Oh yeah. What about y'all? What are the craziest places y'all been?
Well, lately, that bridge that we went to, so there's this road. The whole road is haunted, like in your story. Like, there's a house, an abandoned house that we went into. What month was this? Was this like early June?
This was just a couple months ago.
It's
Wait,
August.
I guess it's August, so yeah, it would have been June.
Yeah, it was in June. We went there. Tyler found an animal skull in the basement, just like it was placed there for a reason. I don't know if you
remember that video.
Yeah, when we went in there, like, I was fine, and normally I've never had any breathing problems in there, but we were only in there for like, what, 20 minutes, and the air just got so heavy out of nowhere. It was hard for all of us to breathe, and so we left. And then we were just like outside of the house, and we kept hearing things coming from like in the grass. I don't know when this was, but there was a murder where a man went and murdered 2 of the Mexican workers and drugged them down the road and just left them in the ditch. And then like, how far is it down to the creek? Like half a mile or a mile?
A mile at most.
There's a creek. And a couple years ago, a college student, or not a college student, but like this kid who was adopted by these 2 college professors, he murdered them and put them in like bed sheets or garbage bags and threw them into the creek. And they found the bodies like floating down the creek somewhere around that area. I don't know exactly where. And then apparently there was a 15-year-old girl who drowned in the last 50 years. And when we were there, we kept hearing like rocks being thrown into the creek, and you'd hear like a splash. And then you'd hear it farther down the creek, like it was traveling downstream. And then Tyler, being Tyler, starts aggravating the spirit because we weren't getting a lot of energy or activity. And he was like, "Come on, do something, pussy." And he just started throwing up. Like, out of nowhere, he just felt sick and started throwing up, and there was like no reason why he should have thrown up.
Yeah, evidently bridges are popular places to get sick when you're messing with spirits.
And then, as soon as he stepped off the bridge, he was fine. And then we get back to the apartment, and I'm watching basketball, and he goes to take a shower, and he was like, "Can you scratch my back?" And he takes his shirt off, and he has 3 scratches down his back. And like, it was like from his shoulder blade all the way down to here. No way that he could have done it. And my fingernails were short at the time, but my nails are way too thin to cause like that thick of a line. And so it was just crazy. I was like, "Yo, what the hell?" And we went with my friend, and so I texted her, and she starts freaking out. She's like, "Oh my god, what are you guys gonna do?" And I was like, "Nothing, LOL."
Ain't nothing you can really do about
Yeah.
it.
I don't think anything followed us though. Like nothing else has happened since then. But I do want to go back there, cause like I had the REM pod there, but nothing happened. And then we kept hearing there was like guardrails along the bridge, so like you won't go flying off. We kept hearing like knocking on the bridge, like somebody was either like kicking it with a steel boot or like throwing a rock at it. And if we were at one guardrail, it would be happening from the other guardrail. And it was just like weird. It was like none of us did it. And so I think that whole street, that whole road just has so much activity.
Oh yeah. See, roads have a lot of activity, especially if there's like water or train track near.
Oh, that reminds me of the Moon Creek Cemetery. Cause like I don't know if you saw that video, we went to the Moon Point Cemetery, but they also call it Moon Creek because there's a creek that literally goes all the way around the cemetery. And then there's also train tracks.
Yeah.
And
we went to the cemetery one time up the road, and it's like a 2-part cemetery. The one part we was getting a bunch of activity, but we kept hearing growls. So we was like, we're gonna go to the other side. Well, all of a sudden we're videotaping, and then here comes the like train, and then right after, not even like 2 seconds, another train just comes up and by. And I'm like, I've never seen 2 trains on the same railroad go by that quick. Like, so that was definitely something like weird. After that happened, we kept hearing so much like whispering and just stuff behind us.
That's like the Moon Creek Cemetery. People report hearing phantom trains. Like the lights will come down and flash like a train's coming, and they'll hear a train horn and like hear the rumble of the train, but a train won't go by. And the only way in and out of the cemetery is to go down the road and then over the train tracks. So people will freak out thinking that the train is stopped on the tracks and they're like trapped in. And that's creepy.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, I've seen like a phantom cat at 2 different locations. Well, technically 3. My buddy was doing a live stream in the woods camping, and everybody in the live stream saw this black cat standing there, but he swore up and down there was no cat there.
Oh.
Like, and then we was at this place called the Avondale Plantation, like an old plantation like 20-30 minutes away from me, and my buddy took a picture, and there was this cat under the chair, but there was no cat in there. Like, and there's been stories of phantom cats being seen, and I've heard it all night. Like, I kept hearing the cat meow all night. And then 666, we saw these pair of little eyes in the woods. So we were like, okay. We went over there a little bit, and the eyes went from here to over here, but nothing didn't move.
Oh.
It was like really cool, but kind of creepy. Like,
my friend Carly, she swears that her house is haunted by a cat named Cletus. The other night she was Snapchatting me and she was like freaking out. She was like, I keep seeing a shadow go back and forth in the living room, and they have like a little dog, but the dog was in the kitchen the whole time, and she kept seeing like this black shadow low to the ground just passing by real fast, and she was like, I'm hoping that's just Cletus. Like, when they first moved in, a couple years ago, she texted me randomly and she was like, hey, is it possible for a cat ghost to haunt a house? And I was like, yeah, why? And she was like, well, I think I have one. I keep hearing meowing and like it just sounds like a cat, and now she sees like the shadow of a cat just running around and she doesn't like it.
Yeah, that would be kind of creepy. Like, just
I keep asking her if I can come investigate her house, and she says, no, Abby, you're not doing that.
It's too bad my parents don't still have their old house, because that one, the basement was haunted.
What? You never told me.
Yes, I did.
No, you didn't.
Yes, I did.
When?
When I was telling, because remember my bedroom, I used to have the living room in the basement was my bedroom.
No.
I told you several times.
I don't listen to you.
But yeah, there's a spirit of some kind that lives in that basement, because there's a, there's constantly stuff banging around, but it's got one of those walkout patios in the basement, and it's got this big, heavy steel door that, when you want to open it and close it, you've got to throw your shoulder against it and really slam it open, because it just sticks so badly. And there's absolutely no way to open or close that door without waking up the whole house. And the door's right off the living room where there's a little kitchenette area. And I basically turned that whole living room into my bedroom. So I had a futon set up out there and all that. And I would wake up in the middle of the night to a breeze coming through, and that door would be hanging wide open.
Oh, I remember this now.
And we always kept it locked too. So I'd wake up in the middle of the night and the door would just be hanging open, wind blowing in, and absolutely like I said, no way someone could have opened that door without waking me up. Yeah. Or without waking up the whole house.
Well, let's just go investigate it.
I don't think the new owners would appreciate that.
I'll just be like, hey, I used to live here. I'm going to investigate.
There is a place on 666 that I do want to go to, but the thing is, I know there's no trespassing signs on it.
Oh, we don't listen to those.
The urban legend is the 7 gates of hell.
Yes.
And nobody's got past like the 3rd one without their car breaking down, and then the 4th one without their electronics, or vice versa or something. But I've been, like, it's legit in Bedford, Virginia, which is, didn't grow up, but I lived in Bedford for about 10 years or whatever. So, I know all about the 7 gates of hell, I just can never find it. And, what are your, I see y'all have a Ouija board.
Yes.
Y'all use it?
Huh?
She does.
I use it.
I don't mess with that. That's her. That's her thing.
Ooh.
I got one myself.
Yes.
And it's from the 70s. It's only been used twice. The person who gave it to me, he used it once when he got it in 78. And then I used it on the investigation. And me and my buddy Dakota was in the middle of asking it, and something whispered something in his ear, and he moved his hand, and I'm like, my stance on it, if you're using a Ouija board in the right intent, then it's not going to be that bad. But it does open portals, but so does like spirit boxes and dowsing rods and everything else you use. So you're risking the same thing by using the spirit box.
Yeah. That one I got, well, I don't know. I got it from my ex's brother.
Stole it from.
Well, then he knew that I had it, and I was going to give it back to him, but he died. So there's that. And then I don't know what he's done with it, where he's used it, but I know that he was like really into like rituals and stuff, so I don't know, but when I took it, there didn't seem to be any like energy attached to it, so I was like, fuck it, and I just kept using it. And now any energy that's on it is solely because of me and my stupidity.
I would use it. I just don't like using it around a lot of people around here, because they don't take it serious.
Yeah.
And I'm like, you gotta be serious. And I don't agree that 8-year-olds should be able to.
Yeah.
Yeah. Ages 8 and up, that's just ridiculous.
Yeah. That's just ridiculous. Like,
oh, what are you doing for your 10th birthday? Summoning Satan.
Right? Like, great day.
Like, yeah. Well, when it was invented more as a toy than it is today. Like, it's taken a lot more seriously today. to some people.
I mean, it's licensed by Hasbro Gaming.
But yeah, there's a stigma around it that a lot of people don't like, but then there's also a lot of people that are like, oh, I don't believe that, and then they go into it fucking around thinking like nothing's gonna happen. They don't protect themselves or anything, and they end up opening a portal and getting haunted for the next 6 months.
Yep. You ever had anything follow you home from an investigation?
Actually, yeah. We went to a Bachelor's Grove. It's up near Chicago. And I don't have this video up yet. It's not going up till October. We met a man there, and he owns the website for the cemetery. And the cemetery is like in a park. Like, I guess it has like a few trails and stuff that you could walk around. And we saw him and we talked to him for a little bit, and he told us that people commonly experience these like figures in robes. Like, did he say like black figures in robes or figures in black robes? I don't remember, but he said something like that. And he says that like they'll follow you home. And I was like, yeah, whatever, that's not gonna happen to me. And then we got home that night around like 9 or 10, and he started taking a shower, and I'm like telling Carly about it, and I just had a weird feeling. And then I went home, and it was probably like 1 in the morning, and I'm trying to fall asleep, and my cat Smokey always sleeps with me. And he started like darting his head around, like looking up in the corner, following something around the room. He was like getting spooky. And I was like, what the hell, dude? And I have a haunted doll in my room, so sometimes he'll like jump down and go and like just stare at her, like whenever she brings her energy around, but I knew it wasn't her. And I'm like, what the hell, man? It's 1 in the morning, I'm trying to sleep. And then I instantly remember what the dude told me, that the figures will follow you home. And I was like, okay, I'm just gonna let Smokey out of my room, roll over and go to bed and act like it's not there. And then the next day, I never saw the figures, but I knew that they were there. Like, you know when you just know what it is and where it's at? And I could just like feel it over in the corner of my room. And the next day, my nephew was coming over, and it was around noon, and I was trying to finish up a video, like editing it before he came over so I didn't have to do it later. And I have Smokey in my room, and I'm at my desk, and Smokey's laying on the floor behind me, and right behind me, like on the other side of the room, is the door. And he starts freaking out at the door, just like meowing, looking up in the corner, running back and forth, and I knew it was there. And I turned around and I said, listen, I don't have time for this right now. I'm actually trying to do something. And then it just disappeared. Smokey acted fine ever since, and I feel like it just left, like it knew that it wasn't welcomed anymore.
I had a 5, 6-year-old kid attach himself with me at 666.
Oh no.
And he just drained me. Like, I was drained for a good 2 weeks. I didn't want to do anything until I was like, I have to go back to 666 and take him back. Like, I have to drop him back off. We did, but he pointed, I ain't seen, like, cause I got 3 to 4 spirits that like to hang out in this little closet behind me.
Ooh.
I have like 3, 4 spirits that just constantly just hang out there. I've been on live streams and I've seen people say, hey, you got a spirit looking at you. You got somebody in the closet. I was like, yeah, I know. I was just like, they've been here longer than I've been here, so.
If I go to edit this and see like a spirit in the back, I'm gonna be like, ah, shit.
One little girl named Beth, she's about 8 years old. She's the one that likes to show herself a lot.
I'll make sure not to edit this at night.
Truck, because she liked it. Like, I did a little truck investigation because he kept getting these little baby handprint, or little child handprint on the windows. And he just like, there are children around. Like, so I don't get, and it wasn't on the outside, it was on the inside. So we just did a 2 and a 1,000 rod session in a spirit box, and Yeah, his truck had an attachment to it that he got from me, from my house.
I have one more question before we end this chat. What advice would you give to a person wanting to go out and explore abandoned places and hunt ghosts?
Be careful. Extremely careful. Try to go during the day so you can scope it out and make sure it's safe to go and all that. Always try to have like a little kit with you, like, I don't know exactly where it's at. I have like a little first aid kit with me.
I need one of those.
Yeah, just be careful and make sure that somebody knows where you're at. At least one person knows where you're at, just in case something happens.
You hear that, kids? Be careful out there.
That one's important too, because it seems like half the time we go investigating, cell signals drop. So there's no contacting anyone if you do get in trouble.
Yeah, like I'm supposed to do this like 1 a.m. alone challenge live stream about a house like 2-minute walking distance from me tonight, and I'm hoping that the service stays, because my service around here stinks. I'm like out in the country in the middle of nowhere.
Same.
Advice I would give on up and coming YouTubers:
yes,
don't let hate and trolls get you down, because you will get trolls. Trust me.
Mm-hmm.
I get them all the time. You will get trolls, and it's just because you're doing something right.
Haters are just fans in disguise. Well, thanks for coming on here, man.
Oh yeah, I'll have y'all on my channel one day and get people to know y'all and help y'all get up there, because y'all close to getting to 1K and monetized and all that.
Heck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It took me a year to do it. I started back June 29th, 2020. And it took me a year, but I also did crazy long. My longest live stream I did was 17 hours.
Jesus.
So YouTube cuts it off at 11 hours and 55 minutes. Yeah. Live streams can get tiring. But y'all are my third reaction Thursdays I'm doing, where I'm going to be reacting to random people's videos, trying to help them grow. And y'all are my third one on that. So.
Oh, heck yeah,
Awesome.
I can't wait.
I'm asking everybody I'm doing for permission so I don't get copyright.
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, this was fun. Definitely appreciate it and get to know y'all. And one day come up there, y'all come down here, we collab and do a video together.
Heck yeah.
That'd be great.
But y'all have a good night, and I will talk to y'all later.
You too.
Have a good night.
Bye.
Bye. Well, like, comment, subscribe if you like that paranormal chat. If you want to be on a paranormal chat, hit me up and we'll make something happen. You were supposed to agree with me.
My brain shut off there for a second.
You're kind of like
Yeah, there was a
you don't even know what you're trying to say.
my brain no brain so good right meow.
Oh, okay, well on that note I'm gonna end this. So bye!
Adios.